Okay, in this video, I'd like to touch on a central theme, not only in the work that I do and the vision that I try to bring to people, but a central theme in everybody's life, right? And it's about change. We all want to change. We all need to change, right? But the way that we go about manifesting change and trying to change and understanding the processes that are required to change, I think have led us astray. In fact, they've led us to more depression and more frustration because we've realized that we can't change, at least not the way that we have been trying to. You know, some people who wants to try to change the way that they think or the patterns or their habits, addictions. Man, a lot of people who struggle with addiction, man, they know it's not easy, and they try and they try and they try. And it's not just addictions, because we don't just have addictions to substances. We have addictions to people, we have addictions to situations, we have addictions to emotional states, to thought patterns. All these things that imprison us and don't let us grow and don't let us evolve. And so I think it's beautiful to want to change. But I found out in my process that we've got it all wrong in how we try to do that. And so I'm going to use this space to really hopefully clarify, and I hope to give you something that you can really take home and apply to whatever it is that you're trying to change in your life, right? Whether it's letting go of smoking. We're going to use smoking for this example, but you can apply it to anything, right? Internal states, external habits, or behavior, whatever. You know, the way we've been taught to change is by trying to change, you know, and I really realized that we don't change. A man doesn't change by force. A man changes by consciousness, right? It's not forcing a change that gives it a real internal, lasting, peaceful, effortless new place in your life. It gives it a forced, artificial, and I'm not saying we don't need willpower. Like, willpower is necessary, and we need to use this force to a certain degree. It's absolutely vital, but it has a roof, it has a limit, right? Whereas we can, if we use it in a more intelligent way, direct it in a more courageous way, perhaps, humble way, perhaps, we can actually achieve a more grounded, new understanding and relationship and change of whether it's habits or patterns or whatever, right? So with smoking, you know, smoking is something that frustrates so many people, and the people who smoke who have tried to stop, man, they know it's endless. And I want to show that it's not about trying to change. It's about bringing consciousness to the thing itself. It's about observing more than changing. The difference between observing and changing is changing already comes with a preconceived notion, ideology, belief, a judgment on this thing, right? It's coming from a relatively closed sense of, you know, understanding, knowing, knowledge, but I would call it ignorance about something that needs to change, and it creates a conflict. And there are no conflicts in reality. Conflict is something that we project onto reality. There's things that move, but there is no, like, you know, we can't be against anything in reality. It's already there. Like, you being against something in reality it's a losing battle, right? Forever. Like, it's already there. Maybe it's not in the right place. Maybe your relationship with it's not right. Maybe we're not using it right? But it's there. We can't be against it. We have to learn to understand it, to bring awareness, to expand our sense of knowing about it. And that takes a more humble stance than saying, like, I need to change this in my life. Right? And so when smokers come to me and they say, like, man, I'd like to deal with this, or people who drink, what I tell them is they've never heard it before. You know, because I'm saying, no, we're going to stop trying to change. We're going to stop trying to get rid of the smoke. In fact, we're going to go the other direction. Next time you're going to smoke a cigarette, I want you to smoke it so fully, so consciously, with all of the presence and the sensitivity and curiosity you can manage in the moment. All right, we're going to stop smoking like this, just having automatically, unconsciously, smoking 20 cigarettes without really understanding or putting any thought to, or we're going to stop smoking it divided with a part of you wanting to smoke and another part of you not wanting to smoke, and creating this division inside of us, because this division we created with our own internal division based on the values that we hold, and they don't align with the actions that we have. And you know, the universe is not divided. It's interrelated. There's no division anywhere. So the divisions we create, and we need to get rid of them for life to flow and to grow. And so when you're smoking, it's no division. Don't judge yourself. Enter it fully, and really enjoy it and see what it brings to you, you know, not just the pleasure of smoking, but like, you know, why do most people smoke? You know, they like to go outside and take a break from the office. They like to feel the fresh breeze and be outside and smoking a cigarette. It gives them, maybe they like to take a pause from the crazy, you know, craziness that happens in our brain or in our thoughts, and taking a smoke break is a way of like pausing that and just being present a little bit more, you know, or closing off the day. Like at the end of the day, it's like, I'm gonna sit and just let the day go by, leave that in the past, and be here now in my cigarette. And these are all beautiful things. Right? And when you start to really smoke and enjoy and understanding the real reasons why you smoke, you start to see like, well, maybe it's not so bad. Like me wanting to smoke, like you stop being so against yourself, you stop forgiving yourself. And it's not to say that cigarettes are good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we blame ourselves so much, we hate ourselves for smoking so much, but really what's behind the act of smoking are these beautiful desires of, I want to just calm. I want to just be outside for a little bit. I want to just, you know, put the day behind me and just be present. Are you against that? You can't be against that. This is maybe the using of the smoking and everything is a little bit muddled up, but fundamentally, you forgive yourself. So there's a lot that's going on here. The first thing is when we smoke consciously and we're present with the cigarette, you might not need 15 cigarettes to get those beneficial things that you're looking for through the tobacco. You might just need one. You might need two in the day, because it becomes a sacred act, right? And so you don't want to do 35 sacred acts every 20 seconds. You do 2 or 3 because you're entering it with curiosity. You're entering into really enjoying it. You're allowing it a place in your life to really understand everything and really bring consciousness into it. And this is important because trying to understand is also like trying to change. We're not trying to understand. Trying to understand still brings the tension and an intellectual aspect of putting something into a box. We want to bring consciousness into it. And bringing consciousness is just being present, feeling, seeing, touching, sensing, not trying to understand. The understanding comes on its own through the act of being present. Right? And so we might only just need 1 or 2 cigarettes. The level amount of cigarettes that might drop down just naturally without the effort, because we're really getting what we want and really milking the moment. Right? The second is we're going to have a much deeper understanding of the substructure, the unconscious structure that's really holding this top of the iceberg. Right now we're fighting against the act of the cigarette. We have all these ideologies and this self-hate really because we can't let go of that. But when we see this whole substructure behind it, we'll start to be like, okay, I'm actually not tackling such a small thing. I'm tackling this monstrous unconscious substructure within myself. And that makes me more of a warrior now. Like I'm not just such a crazy person that I can't stop smoking one. No, I'm trying to redefine and reformulate the very fundamental like aspects of my existence here through this symbolic act of smoking. Right? So we start to judge ourselves less, we start to understand all of this so we can start to work with it more at the roots, but also we heal the relationship that we have with the smoking because we see deeper into it. And when we heal that relationship, it's like us tuning the relationship, right? We're not trying to cut the cord. There's no music when you cut the cord. We want to tune the relationship and the strings that we have with everything in our surroundings, and that requires a deeper and ever-deepening understanding of that thing itself and ourselves. And as we do that, as we understand, forgive ourselves, have a healthier relationship of more like self-love and understanding, then it relaxes. There's less conflict, there's less antagonism, right? There's more understanding, and that brings more harmony inside of you. And when you're in a state of harmony, of less antagonism, of more understanding and self-love, you don't need these things so much. The desire to smoke or the desire of whatever it might be, they tend to drop away on their own because we use them to get to this state. When we heal our relationship with them, it gets us to a state of more peace, and hence they don't have a reason to be there so much anymore. Right? Or when they do, we use them as means to get us somewhere else. Like, okay, the desire is still here. Because I'm not saying every time you feel like smoking a cigarette, smoke a cigarette and enjoy it. We can do this exact same process of deepening, understanding, sensibilizing, becoming more sensitive with the desire to smoke, not just the smoking. right? Because a desire comes up of wanting to smoke, and that is in and of itself a phenomenon that can be deepened, understood, so that your relationship with your own desire becomes a healthy relationship too. Because right now we're slaves of desire, and that's not healthy, right? But we don't want to get rid of desire and cut it, because desire is life. Life desire is to grow, right? Like it's a vital energy that's also just like the cigarettes, put in the wrong place. And I'm not here to tell you put it in this place and that place. This is when you open to this world, something will light up in you of like, wow, this is way more intriguing and interesting than just smoking a cigarette. In fact, it opens you to a whole other world of like connecting the dots, understanding the cosmos, understanding your deeper habits, where they come. And so you're no longer against smoking, you're just for something else. This is like a law. We cannot be against anything, but we can work for other things. You against something doesn't work. You're battling reality. Working towards other things brings your attention towards something new, where this takes up less space in your psyche, and then finds its adequate place. Right? The best example is like I used to play a lot with Batman. You know, I had my little Batman figurines and my little Batmobiles, man. I was really hooked on it. Like as a kid, you know, they were my life, you know, I loved it. I grew out of it, but not because I forced it, not because I forced and created this inner conflict of having to let it go. I grew out of it because my consciousness expanded and new things started to come. I grew towards other things, not against it. I don't play with Batman today, but it was huge in my life. And that's easy. We do that naturally as children, but as adults, it just gets all convoluted with conditioning and patterns and everything. But again, there was nothing wrong with the Batman. Like, but the relation, if I had created a relationship so antagonistic with it, then I would have like fueled this energy, this energetic link, and created more and more tension within myself, lowering my energy state, keeping me trapped in my habits and my unconscious and automatic behavioral patterns. I hope this is starting to make sense. So let's see if I can recap real quick. It's not about trying to change the thing itself. In fact, when we try to change, it means we already have an unhealthy relationship with it. It means we're in one way or another against it. We can't be against anything. Instead, we must have the humility to let go of these preconceived notions and let's go deeper into this thing. Let's try to understand this thing, including myself, because it exists within me. How can I understand, and like if I need to really do it with sensitivity to really understand it, and not to try to change it, because we have the humility to say maybe I'm wrong in this whole thing and maybe I just lack understanding and consciousness. So let's try to bring consciousness on this whole situation, relationship. As we do that, we see deeper into the thing. In my view, in my opinion, the deeper we see into things, the more we find a place of forgiveness, understanding, love. This is the same as people. This is the same as our negative states. People, we have all kinds of opinions on people, but when we really have the humility to get to know them deeper and see why they do what they do and the situations that they grew up with and all the stuff that's led to this act, that we start to soften a little bit. We start to understand, and then the relationship, the rope, the string that binds us starts to sing in harmony with the universe. Once our strings are in harmony with the universe, there are less desires. We don't need to, things find their place on their own, not because of the effort and the willpower we're putting onto it, but because of the humility and the understanding we're willing to like embrace it with. I hope that's clear. Big love.